We return, I hate to do it to you, to Donald Trump Jr. Now, I say that because I genuinely, myself, am Donald Trump Jr. out, but colleague Jack keeps sending me these clips from him, as we've covered before, and they're always so funky, and in this case, so deranged, that we have to talk about this. So here we go. I'm going to play a bunch of clips for you from an interview that Tucker Carlson just dropped like a rock with Donald Trump Jr., and I can't describe to you, so you'll just have to watch for yourself and then I'll respond, just how unhinged this interview was. And this is post-conviction. So they just recorded it post-conviction, and Donald Trump Jr. and Tucker just go completely off the rails immediately, as you're about to see.
But you saw this on January 6th, too. I mean, I know that Joe Scarborough and the rest of the liars presented those people as like insurrectionists and dangerous. They were actually the most pure-hearted and 100%. The most naive about the. I mean, they were literally walking with pocket constitution saying, no, you can't do this. They believed in the system much more than the people who put them in prison who don't believe in it at all.
Without question. And you saw that. I mean, the narrative was pushed so much. The clips that they used were designed to create something that didn't actually happen. I mean, it's so sick. I always say, it was the first unarmed insurrection in the history of insurrections. I mean, it's never happened before, but arguably, I'd say probably the most heavily armed populace if they wanted to have been, right?
Of course.
But of course it wasn't an insurrection.
Okay. Before playing more, can we just take a second? First of all, it wasn't unarmed. I'm so tired of that incorrect talking point. Second of all, I'll show you a text that Donald Trump Jr. sent, or I'll read it to you, on January 6th that says differently. And third of all, I hate to drop the G-bomb, but the gaslighting from MAGA on January 6th is it makes me go, oh no, we've crossed the Rubicon. We've crossed a line here that freaks the ever-loving you-know-what out of me. Right on out. The idea that now they're willing to be this dishonest, where does that lead? I don't know. They can say anything. Just remember, normal people who have normal morals, before they do such a podcast or a show or just speak to people in general, like to make sure they're generally on the right track factually. Imagine just being completely disconnected from that, just floating above facts altogether and just creating whatever reality you want. Where you can say with Tucker Carlson's, I was about to say iconic, I feel like that's giving him too much credit, irritating face that he makes constantly. It's interesting. The January 6th prisoners might be some of the most peaceful, kind-hearted, loving, pro-democracy, anti-cult people I've ever met. They were just going to the Capitol to give Pelosi a bouquet of flowers, thanking her for her duty. And then someone pooed all over the place, but it wasn't them. And someone broke the window. But let's show on screen, by the way, the thing they're talking about. That's the peaceful, just trying to give Mike Pence a kiss on the cheek. That's why they had the thing that was prepared to hang him, and they were chanting hang him. It was code for, let me give you a smooch, okay? We love you. We respect you. We're peaceful. Okay, you get the point. Oh my gosh, crazy. Okay, next moment.
A strongly worded memo and do nothing to follow up. And I think as long as you have that sort of imbalance in the response, nothing changes. Because, the Democrats, they'll take their win, they'll run to the bank, they'll laugh their ass off along the way, and nothing changes until we actually start fighting back.
I think a lot of people yesterday when that verdict came down, I'm among them, my first reaction was, wow, they'll actually hurt us. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
would execute us, me, I'll just say, speak for myself. And
I'm going to really quickly pause your viewing of this video to ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have passed 500,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for that. If you're not yet a part of that group, now 503 or something, then you can do so by clicking that subscribe button. You don't want to have FOMO, do you? Join the club.
there would be an MSNBC panel of former federal prosecutors telling their audience that I deserved it, and they'd be laughing. And the Lincoln Project would send out a, congratulatory tweet, and I was like, wow, there's sort of a lack of humanity. There's a coldness. There's an evil under all of this that I think I underestimate.
I think we all did. And by the way, I think many still do. Again, it's hard to believe that you could live through these last 8 years or whatever, 10 years, and not think that. I mean, look at, that this is even, within 10 points in terms of an election. Like, I can't name literally a single metric, a single one, geopolitical, economic, or otherwise, like where we're better off now. And yet, they'll outraise us, they'll do this.
Better off now than when. Remember, your father left office and we had everything had collapsed. Granted, pandemic, but he was mishandling it. And Biden had to pull us out of that. So I think on almost all the metrics, we're better off. But I will say to Tucker, how do I say this respectfully? Let's just say your head is somewhere that, based on the president, that it shouldn't be. I'll just leave it there. It shouldn't be in the place where it currently is for you to be making those arguments. Crazy. And also, the sort of Tucker's here and the world's going like this type of, and for our podcast listeners, Tucker's the center of the world is what I'm trying to say, is pretty wild, where he thinks he's so special that there would be an assassination attempt against him, which I'm against assassination attempts because they're bad. And that wouldn't happen because that's insane. And also, if they were going to, Tucker, you're a has-been, okay? But also, think about that. They're sending the message to MAGA that that's the next step. When all that's happened, as a reminder, is Trump violated the law. So then in a country of law and order, he was held accountable. That's what happened. Beautiful. That's the system working. And in the mind of Tucker, this is an indication that the next step is these evil people who just keep doing great things like infrastructure projects and lowering your prescription drug costs and making sure the planet is livable for your children and giving you cheaper energy sources through those very actions and investing in job creation, etc. But the evil people are doing that to distract you from from the fact that they're so evil. And the evil people now, they might assassinate the most powerful, handsome people. So they're gonna start with me. Okay, I get it. I'm terrified, but it's crazy stuff. Here's the next moment.
But what happens if can they remand him and put him in jail then?
I imagine they will try, right? I mean,
why wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course. Like, does anyone think? And again,
that's too far.
That's too far. Yeah. It's nothing's too far. And again, until it happens, we have to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, thinking they're going to act above board. This is an arm's length transaction. No, it's not. Like, what are you talking about? There's not a single aspect of this case that should stand in any court. But where do you appeal right now? To the New York Appellate Division, which is just as radical? And it's not just this case. Look at all the shade, all the craziness around Fani Willis, right? That case. You look at Jack Smith and the FBI doctoring documents and setting up staging photos and then leaking it to the Washington Post. The classified documents that end up on the front page of the Washington Post. That's fine. Each one of these things wouldn't stand. If we did this to, meaning conservatives, some sort of Republican did this to Obama, it would never end. It would be a perpetual story, and rightfully so. And yet, hey, as long as it's against a conservative, as long as it's against Trump, who's up against that machine, we're going to allow these things to happen. It's not like...
Yeah, so much there. I kind of want to get to another clip that will connect this, but just by the way, they staged the photo to make him look bad. That's not true. Business Insider, former FBI agent, said the evidence photo was just standard protocol, so that is not accurate. It scares me that I have to believe, because it's true based on the comments on videos like this, that a bunch of people are watching and are nodding. Yes, exactly. But can't go, if they're going to spend so much time watching Tucker Carlson's interview with Don Jr., spend just a little time maybe diving into the evidence that was brought against him and reading the law and just seeing if you also find that there's a little contradiction there with what he did and what the law says. But here's another moment, then I'll respond.
So much. That's the
Such
difference
a betrayal.
between. It's the difference between the Democrats. I mean, they've shown, hey, they'll put their opposition in jail. They'll smother them. They'll silence them. There's nothing they won't do to preserve power. We'll write a strongly worded memo.
So before responding to that, the text from Donald Trump Jr. on January 6th, I meant to read that to you. Donald Trump Jr. texted again and again, this is Cheney's recounting, urging action by the president. Quote, "We need an Oval Office address," is what Don Jr. texted to Mark Meadows, trying to get a hold of his father. He has to lead now. It's gone too far and gotten out of hand. So on January 6th, he thought something horrible was happening. Now they were just peaceful protesters. I don't know how everything got broken and all the cops got beaten, but the Trump supporters were just peaceful. It was FBI on police or something. So very different narrative than what he was saying privately. But the thing that really bothered me is Don Jr. saying, Democrats will do anything to hold on to power. Republicans will just write a strongly written memo. Again, it's the projection, but also just trying to convince people they didn't see and hear and observe what they did, which is Trump. Trump did anything, Don. Your father, and you cheered on him doing anything to hold on to power. They use the word sick. This is sick. The flippity flop that we're seeing in the argument they're making. Trump, for the first time in American history, a sitting president, did allegedly illegal things to overthrow our electoral process, to install himself as president. And to be clear, the illegality is still alleged because that's what he's been indicted for. Those cases haven't yet been adjudicated. But the attempt to overturn it is not alleged. We witnessed that. And we can hear the phone calls. We can look at the documentation of this fraudulent elector scheme. We can hear the discussions, or at least the reporting about discussions between Pence and Trump, what Trump was trying to get Pence to do. And we can see what happened on January 6th. Trump was trying to destroy a democratic process to hold on to power. And then they're flipping it around. Oh no, it's Democrats who will do anything to hold on to power. Whew, really brutal. Here's another moment.
If they can do it to him, who can't they do it to? But more importantly, if they will so flagrantly and so corruptly do it to him, who won't they do it to? That's the question we have to be asking. I mean, is anyone safe? And it's like COVID. People going blindly along. No, it's going to be different this time. I'm like, really? Like that's what you've got out of this?
But
last
if they
8 years?
put the Republican candidate who was leading in the polls, all things equal, he becomes president again in November. If they put him in jail right before the Republican convention on fake charges stemming from a rigged trial, they're kind of pushing violence, aren't they?
Listen,
how do they expect people to respond to that? Nothing like that has ever happened.
In the reality, you have to be careful even how you talk about that.
No,
right?
they are pushing violence.
They are.
They
clearly
violence.
are. But again, like nothing should surprise us, right? The star witness of this case.
Oh my gosh, I missed that part. This is what they're saying. I have come to you a bunch of days and said, MAGA Republican Donald Trump leading this movement threatened democracy. And never have I said, because I don't believe it, that, it's gotten so bad that it would be justified to engage in violence. Because that's not how we're going to overcome this moment. And that's not moral, and that's not justified. What he's saying there is, I don't know if I'm saying you should, but you sure would be justified to be violent. Actually, no, it would be their fault. They're forcing you to do that. And that's disturbing. And all because of a big stack of lies that they've developed. They clearly don't understand how the law works, but this is what happens when you violate it. And it's not they are doing this to Trump. They. It's a jury of Trump's peers based on their observation of Trump's defense and the prosecutor's case and the evidence brought forward. 12 of them unanimously said he's guilty. That's our process. It's not Biden. It's not this nebulous they. It's our process. And this is the outcome of it. And the fact that you're so willing to abandon the whole system altogether because of your dedication to one man, that's for Don Jr., not Tucker Carlson. He's doing it in the name of one man, but he's just understanding what the audience wants to hear. I think this is all grifty behavior, sort of like his weird Russia visit. Or maybe he ideologically genuinely feels like this type of dangerous language is the direction that he should go, saying that they are trying to cause violence. When again, this is Trump getting himself into legal trouble and being held accountable for it. Frightening, frightening stuff. Tell me what you thought of that interview in the comments.